Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We have got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Headmaster Hardhead. So as we always do, let's go ahead and look at that packaging first. We'll move him out of the way, and we'll bring that packaging in for a good look. Now, this is the G1 retro style packaging that I absolutely love. This just brings back so many great childhood memories. We'll go ahead and bring it in. Up here you have the Headmaster Hardhead with his little buddy Duros. You got that Headmaster artwork right there. Now, one quick note of the Headmaster artwork that I noticed is it shows he's wielding two guns here, but he only comes with one. So, not a complaint, just an observation. And alright, here on the side you have those product shots showing him in both modes. On the back, you get that great G1 inspired artwork with your little phrase up here. It is a world of constant change where things are not what they seem. It is the world of the Transformers, a world of heroic Autobots and evil Decepticons. And down here you get a very brief bio, but very retro. And so his function is ground assault. His quote is, "It's either my way or no way. The only way to get him to follow advice is to persuade him to come up with the idea himself. Stubborn, doesn't talk much." And then over here you have your strength, intelligence, speed, and firepower stats that you can take a look at. And then you have the warnings, and the sad baby is right there. What a relief, I was worried. Over here you have a couple of more product shots. Up here at the top you have 4 simple steps to transform him, but not really, we're just kidding. See full conversion, or see instructions for full conversion steps. And on the bottom, you have a couple more product shots and some manufacturing information. So that's it for the outside of the packaging. Let's go ahead and talk about what came in that packaging. So first, he came with a sheet of warnings. Again, what a relief. And he came with his instructions. These are the retro G1 inspired instructions with a little grid back there and everything. Just love the way these look. And he came with, if you don't count his head, he came with one accessory, and it's this rifle right here. So we'll bring that in for a close-up and get a good look at that. So there's no paint on this, but this is some nice detail that they've put in there. I like the way this looks. So overall, not too bad. All right, and then of course the other accessory he comes with is that head. So we'll go ahead and we'll decapitate him now. And we'll go ahead and get a close look at that head, and then we'll talk about Duros while we're here. So there is that head with a nice head sculpt on it. I think that looks pretty good. All right, and we'll go ahead and we'll open him up, and we'll try to get the best view that we can of this little guy. So there's Duros, and you notice that he looks a lot like this guy, just smaller. And a decent amount of molded in detail here on this guy. I mean, there's not much you can do with a figure that's this size, especially when I get my big old thumbs in the way. So overall, not too bad. You get some detailing on the side, and as far as articulation on the Headmaster, which we'll talk about now, you do get a little bit of side to side and a little bit of up and down, and because this is the joint that connects to his neck, it does allow that spin, so that could go all the way around. And you do, for the arms, you can bring them up about that high. You can bring them down until they bang into the back of the head. And you have a little bit of some butterfly or some where you can spread them out a little bit, not a lot. And for those legs, the legs are fixed together at the feet, so you're not going to move them separately, but you do have a hip joint, so you can get him into a sitting position, and you can get him into a standing position. You can swing those knees around just about anywhere you need them. And of course, he will do the yoga to become the head. Alright, so those are the 2 accessories that Hardhead comes with. So let's go ahead and we'll fold him back up, stick him back on, and we'll bring Hardhead in his entirety up for his, or in for his close-up. So we just plug that back in. We've already taken a look at that head sculpt. So let's take a look at that chest. Good detail in there. You got that nice Autobot logo right there, and then you've got all this color right here in the crotch, which is nice. You have real genuine stickers on this guy, so again, another call back to G1. There you have the tank treads, and then you have the little wheels that he actually does roll on. And there on the side, you've got some nice red. Matches the red on the tank treads up here. Lift that arm up out of the way so you can see some of the detail on the side. And let's take a look at the back. So he's got that big old gun hanging out there. He's got his cockpit and then some detail back here. So overall, not too bad at all. I really like the way this guy looks. I think it's a really cool figure. So for the articulation, we kind of talked about it already a little bit with that head, but you can get that side to side, you can get that up and down, and you can go all the way around if you choose to. And at the shoulder's on a ball joint, so it will give you a little bit of motion this way, so if you want to change that arm angle, you can. You don't get a lot up, you get about right there, and then the rest of it is done at the hinge up here, and that's about as high as you're going to go. And you can go all the way around, and down here at the elbow, you do have, I'm going to show you from the back here, you do have a double jointed elbow, so that does allow you to get a little bit more than 90 degrees. Now you do start running into the arms right here, so you can't get a whole lot, but you can get kind of creative with how you want to position his arms. So you've got some good articulation there. And then you do have that bicep rotation. Down here at the hand, you have wrist rotation and you have wrist swivel for transformation, so you can take those in as far as you need to go. You don't have anything at the waist, unfortunately, but he does have good articulation in his legs overall, so at the hips you can do a full split, and he can kick forward that far, he can kick backward. Well, this isn't fair because he's got a big old gun on this side, so he can kick forward that far, and he can kick backward that far. So he's got some good flexibility there as far as the gymnastics moves. And his legs are on a ball joint, so you do get a little bit of wiggle there, but you also have upper thigh rotation. And then at the knees, you can get, I would say, right at 90 on those knees. And then down at the feet, the only thing you get are these toes. And you can't really do anything as far as posing with those toes. So everything you do as far as posing goes has to happen in the thigh and the knee area. And for the most part, that's not too bad. Again, we're talking about a figure that was, you know, designed and engineered 6 or 7 years ago at this point now, so things have come a long way. But as far as reissues go, I think he looks pretty cool. And he does have just a really nice presence right there. All right, so let's go ahead and get him into transform him and get him into his alt mode, which is a tank. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go ahead and decapitate him once more and get that out of the way. And fold those hands in. And that way you've got those clear. And then what you can do here is, these are just the tank treads. You can just fold those arms up now and compact those in to get them ready for the next step. And you can disconnect right back here, pull this away from the rest of the body, so it just plugs in right there in that slot and tab system. And you can just bring all this up and turn your attention down here, fold those little toes in, and when you do that you can turn it around, and then right here at this point you're just going to swing all of this back. And then you have these legs on double hinges right here, so you just pull those legs out and bring them around so they're like that. I'll flip them back over this way so you can see it. Just give it the old swing around like that, and then once you do that, you have a couple of locking points for the lower portion here. So you have this slot, or this tab right here that's going to go into this slot, and then you have these two tabs that are going into the slots on the legs. So swing that around, give that slot right there a lock, put it into place. And when you do that, then you can put these legs in place as well. Sorry, he's a little bit fiddly, not real bad, but I just got to get him lined up here. Bear with me. There we go. All right, so now once you have that middle slot in place, then you're just going to plug the tabs in right there. So bring that leg over, plug it in, bring that leg over, plug it in. That locks everything into place. And now you're pretty much just in cleanup mode. So just something real quick to note, for these treads, you don't need to have these all the way on the ground. Really all you're doing is you're positioning these to make them look good, because your rolling action happens right here on this little plastic wheel. But you do have, if I can give you a good look, you have these raised areas right there where that pin is at, and then you do have these very shallow ports. So that's kind of a guideline to give you a general location where you want to put these tank treads. So you can just line it up there, and then just kind of squeeze everything together, make sure everything looks good. And there you have Hardhead in his... Oh, I missed one thing. Don't miss this. Don't miss that, because that's going to make him lift in the middle. It's much better when you lower that. It works so much better. And there you have Hardhead in his tank mode. I think that's a really cool looking tank mode. Again, you know, these are reissues of figures that came out 5 or 6 years ago. But you know, when you've got a good fun design, you've just got a good fun design, and that's what this is. This is a good fun design. So to finish this guy off, we will just go ahead and take that rifle, and you plug the rifle in here on the big old cannon, and then you can take Duros and unfold him, stick his little arms out. That way it looks like he's actually doing something. Put him in a sitting position, and let me bring this in a little bit closer, and just lift this cab up, lift the cab up, lift the cab up. There we go. And stick Duros in there. Get him nice and comfy. Make sure his seatbelt is on, and then close that, and there you have Duros piloting this really cool tank. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those details. We'll bring him in on this side. It's probably going to be a little bit easier to see things. So yeah, he's got great molded in detail, most of which we've already seen in the robot mode. He's just unfolded now. But I think overall this thing just looks really cool. I like it. You got that big old cannon right there, and you got those double tank treads on the sides. Like I said, you can, you know, if you want to lower them down a little bit, just don't let them drag the ground, because they're not actually the points of rotation there for the rolling of the vehicle. And even from the back, it cleans up pretty good. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. And then over here, see nothing but that big old gun. There he is from the top. And from the bottom. So overall, not too bad, not too bad. And he does, in this vehicle mode, he does roll really well. So no complaints whatsoever there. And yeah, what we'll do now is, I'll just show you, there's a couple of things you can do with this cannon. And you can do this in robot mode or vehicle mode. So if you just go ahead and take that rifle off to get in and get it out of your way. I will untwist my tongue, I swear. Go ahead and take Duros out. Then you can close this up. Now on this cannon, this is on a double hinge, so you can just lift this cannon up to bring it into attack mode or battle mode, whatever you want to call it, and then it's just sitting in a port. It's on a peg. You can take this out, you know, and if you did so desire, I mean, you could put the little gun there. But why would you do that when you have this ginormous gun? Anyway, so you put the ginormous gun back in there, and then you have the ability to twist that, spin it any direction, go up or down with it, so you can get a good line of fire, whatever. But it also has the ability right here where you lift this little area up, and this is on a double hinge, so you can just collapse that back, and then you've got a little seat right there for Duros. So now he can plug right in, and now he's in charge of the cannon. There you go. And he can have himself a fun day at the range where he can just be taking some stuff out. And once you've got this in there, of course, you can put the rifle back in or leave it out. It's up to you, your toy. But I think that's really cool. I like that option that adds so much fun. Having these Headmasters, it just adds so much more fun. It takes it to another level for me. So yeah, that's it for the most part for the vehicle mode. So what we'll do is I'm going to put him back in the cab, and I'm going to take this gun off and collapse this up, and we'll get this all cleaned up, and we will, let's go ahead and get him back in there and plug that in. So what we'll do now is we will go ahead and we'll bring in some comparisons for the vehicle mode. So I figured for the vehicle mode, because he's a tank, that's what I would do here, is I would bring in some tanks from a few different universes here to give you a points of comparison. So the first one that we'll do is we will bring in the G1 Brawl. So you can see how he looks next to a G1 tank. And we'll put those two guys side by side right there. We'll give you a nice look at those. Maybe spread it out a little bit so they don't blend in together. Alright, and the next one that I thought we'd bring in, we'll go ahead and bring in the Kingdom Warpath and put those two guys together. Let me scoot them a little closer here without moving them out of the frame. I'll do this. I think that looks pretty cool. Alright, get my hands out of the way. Alright, move him on out of the way. And while we're in the Kingdom universe, let's go ahead and bring in Siege Impactor. And I think he's actually really close to the look of Hardhead here. I mean, they're both dual tank or dual tread tanks, and you know, they've got a few big guns on them, and I don't know, color scheme and everything kind of reminds me of each other. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Love me some tanks. Alright, and then we will bring in, from the Studio Series, we'll bring in Megatron in his tank mode. So you can see how he looks compared to that. And Megatron's, he's not big per se, but because he is, you know, from the Studio Series, he's got a little bit more girth than these smaller guys here. And yeah, there you go. And you can just say hello to Megatron with his beautiful little face right there. Oh, look at that. Oh, he looks so happy. All right. See those two guys side to side like that. Be fun to play World of Tanks with all these guys. All right, so the last couple of vehicle comparisons I have here, they're going to be, the best I can say is a direct comparison. So the first one that I'll bring in is from the line, the Titans Return line, when it came out, 2015, 2016. This is the Decepticon mold or version of Hardhead, and this is Quake, and his Headmaster is Chasm. So these are the exact same mold, just one is an Autobot, one is a Decepticon. Let's see how those guys look together. Like I said, the only thing different is just the color scheme here. Everything else is molded exactly the same. But yeah, it's a great, fun design. I'm not going to complain about that at all. And then the final comparison. Now, this one, you might have to squint your eyes a little bit, because what I'm doing is I'm bringing in Hardhead and Duros from the Titans Return line. So these guys, again, are exactly the same thing. It's just this guy happens to be about 6 years old, and this guy right here is just a newborn. So yeah, we'll bring these in just so you can see. There's a little bit difference in the color, the molded color, and the sticker placement and some of the paint apps, but yeah, you are looking at exactly the same mold. And he's just as fun now as he was then. So there you go. Very cool. All right, so that'll wrap it up for the comparisons in the alt mode. So what we'll do now is we will go ahead and we'll get him transformed back up into his robot mode, and we'll go from there. All right, so to get him transformed back up, first thing that you got to do is take some stuff off of him. So let's go ahead and we'll take that rifle off. And go ahead and take Duros out now because, you know, he's the guy's head and you're going to need him later. Let's go ahead and take him out and set him off to the side. And then what you can do from here is you're just going to start loosening things up. So you've got these back wheels back here. So flip this little crotch plate down and then you pull these treads out of those two tabs right there. And then you can just swing these legs out, kind of get them out of the way and get them loose. And just get these treads out down here out of the way and swing this entire assembly back down. And when you do, you have this tab right there that's going to go into the slot. That's going to give you a nice firm point of assembly there. And then one down here with these legs, just swing those in on those double hinges. Well, I'm trying to hold this guy up and not getting a good grip on him. There we go. All right, and then swing those little feet out. Make sure they're in the right spot. And now for this, you're just going to fold all this back up, being aware to keep these arms out of the way. So just go ahead and turn those down now and bring them up so that way they don't interfere with anything. So you bring this down, and then when you swing this down, you're actually going to connect this little slot right there to this tab. And so when you bring that down again, tab that in, give it a nice push, and then you have the upper body complete. And for the arms, just spread those out. Do the same thing on the other side, spread them out. And you can open his hands up, pull those out of the way. Do the same thing over here. And now all he needs is a head. So let's give him one. Let's fold Duros up here, put him in his little head mode, plug him in, and bada boom, bada bing, you have him back in his robot mode. So before we go any further and do any comparisons here, I just wanted to show you a couple things that you can do in this mode as well with the Duros Headmaster. So this gun, for the articulation on this gun, which I think I missed during the original articulation review, you can bring this up on this double hinge and then it'll swing over and it'll rest right there on his shoulder. So that way you have him armed up. But you can do what we talked about in vehicle mode. You can open this area up right here, swing this down on that double hinge, and then you have a seat for Duros. So you could take Duros and unfold him and get his little arms out, put him in a seating position, and drop him in that cannon. And now you have, there we go, sit, sit, there you go. So now you have Duros running the show, and you do have something that I didn't show earlier. You do have a little bit of side-to-side play here on this cannon, so you can move that around. That's to clear the head. I did it and then I didn't bother to tell you about it, so sorry about that. But once you have that cannon there, then you can just have Duros running him remotely, or if you wanted to be so crazy, you know, you could rip the head off of another Headmaster. And let me do that on the side right here real quick. You could bring in another Headmaster, and maybe you could have Highbrow running the show just to keep him in order, keep him in line. There we go. So there you go. Now you got Duros running the gun, Highbrow's running the bot, and you're ready to go out and kick some Decepticon butt. All right. So let's go ahead and move him out of the way. And fold him back up. Put that head back on. Close this gun up. And let's not forget to give him his rifle. All right. Stand him up nicely. There you go. You're looking good. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll bring in some bot comparisons so you can see how he looks next to some other bots. So the first one that we'll bring in is the Studio Series Megatron. You can see how those two guys look together. All right, move him on out of the way. And we will bring in just the little guy. Let's bring in G1 Brawl. He's just so cute. Look at that little guy. All right, move him on out of the way. And we will bring in Siege Impactor. And actually, I think these two guys look really good together. They look like they could be buddies. Just hanging out on Cybertron, blowing stuff up. It looks pretty cool. Both of them have shoulder-mounted cannons. I mean, there's a lot in common there. All right, then we'll bring in Kingdom Warpath, Blammo Kazowie. All right, move him out of the way. And let's go ahead and start bringing in some fellow Headmasters. These are the fellow Headmaster reissues that have come out along with Hardhead here. So let's go ahead and we'll start with Skull Cruncher. And you can see how those two guys look together. All right, move him on out of the way. Let's bring in Weird Wolf. Those two fellas side by side. I'll straighten him out a little bit there, maybe center it up a little bit better. All right, move him on out of the way. And let's go ahead and we'll bring in Highbrow. See those two guys side by side? All right, and the last two that we're going to do, we will bring in, which we saw in the robot mode, or the vehicle mode, we'll bring in the Decepticon Quake, which is the exact same mold, just a few different paint apps, and of course molded in different colors, with his Headmaster Chasm. And you can see that there is a little bit of a difference there in the faces between the two, so at least they did some different face sculpts. And you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to put him back in the middle. And we'll put Quake right there, and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll bring in Hardhead when he was first issued for the Titans Return line a few years ago. And same thing here. You can see that the face sculpt is different and a few of the paint apps, but everything else is exactly the same. So there you've got three of the same really cool mold. All right, so let's go ahead and get these guys out of the way, and I will give you my final thoughts on Headmaster Hardhead. All right, guys, so my final thoughts on the Transformers Headmaster Hardhead. I like him. He's a fun figure. As I've stated earlier, this is a reissue from the Headmasters from the Titans Return from 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. So, yeah, the design and the engineering are showing their age, but overall, I think there's great playability with this figure. I really like his alt mode. I love that tank. And in the robot mode, even though he has some hollow points and he has some limited articulation, he comes with that huge shoulder-mounted cannon, which is just a blast, literally and figuratively. And because of the Headmaster gimmick, there's so much playability there. In the tank mode, of course, you could have the Headmaster driving the tank. In the robot mode, you could have him sitting in the seat of that cannon, just blowing stuff away. So I like this guy. I think if you are one who is collecting the Headmaster's figures, then this is going to be a worthy addition to your collection. He's just a lot of fun. And I think he goes well and complements the other Headmasters that have been released for this reissue, plus the ones that came out, 5-6 years ago for the Titans Return line. So for $20 US, this is a hard deal to pass up. So I would give him a good recommendation to pick him up. I don't have any major QC issues with my copy. Actually, I don't have any major QC issues with any of the 3 copies that I have of this mold. So overall, yeah, it's an older design, but I think it's well worth it, and I think it adds a degree of fun and playability, and yeah, I recommend him. So with that, guys, we'll just wrap this review up. Be sure, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, leave some comments, let us know what you want to see on this page so we can keep making it better for you. And with that, that's the end of the review, guys. So until we talk to you again, you guys take care out there.